Good evening. The original plan of the Communists to capture power in the Legislative Assembly by getting 26 assemblymen to form the government has failed. Their second plan to get 26 opposition assemblymen to vote the government out has also failed. Their third plan is now to make it so hot and uncomfortable for the government all round that we shall quit before merger is accomplished. We shall be patient and forbearing, and we shall see merger through. You will remember, immediately before the motion of confidence in July, I wrote to Dr. To Chin Chai and predicted that the Communists were going to mount an assault on the industrial front. Lim Chin Siong issued a counter-statement saying that all this was a smear and that they had no intention whatsoever of doing this. Woodhull, in the Sunday Mail of the 6th August, said that the unions would be most reasonable and would accommodate the employers. The Communists are on the surface playing the game constitutionally and softly for the time being. Their ultimate weapon of attack is the Communist-controlled unions, like the General Employees Union and so on. But if these unions take action, obviously it would be directly attributed to Lim and the Communists. Therefore, they are mounting their attack in places where the trouble cannot be directly connected with them, as for example in the People's Association community centers and the Business Houses Employees Union. Until we disclosed that the 17 workers who were dismissed and the 7 others who were demanding their reinstatement in the People's Association were all in fact members of the PAP, nearly all of whom owed their jobs to PAP assemblymen who have defected to the other side, this fuss in the People's Association could not be attributed to Barisan Socialists or Lim Chin Siong. But when we have placed all the facts before you to show the political connection between the fuss in the People's Association and Barisan Socialists, the position has altered. It's one thing supporting a genuine case of arbitrary dismissal. It is another openly supporting one side of a political disagreement, and a side which openly defies the authority and the discipline of a government board. For anyone to do this would be to show bias and to prejudice the political neutrality claimed by those who have issued statements in support of the workers who are in open rebellion. So the attempt of the supporters of Barisan Socialists in the People's Association to close down the community centers and coerce the government into taking them back, including the key supporters of Barisan Socialists, have only aroused irritation in the people who have suffered inconvenience from these foolish acts of defiance and indiscipline. There has also been a rash of strikes in the Business Houses Employees Union. These are nearly all English-educated workers, clerks, salesmen, and salesgirls. A strike by them would not generally be known to be connected with Lim Chin Siong and the Communists. So again, we have to show the link. The pro-communist cadres in these unions are Woodhull, Bani, Dominic Putucherry, and Kam Siu Yi. Dominic Putucherry is the younger brother of James Putucherry. For several years, he was working on our side in the unions, competing against the Communists for the support of the workers. As late as March last year, he was still our staunch friend. As a result, he was smeared in the pro-communist unions as a stooge of Ahmad Ibrahim and me. This hurt him to the quick, and Devan Nair had to tell Lim Chin Siong and Fong Swee Suan to stop this smear. But by the end of 1960, after working in the General Employees Union for over a year, Dominic went over to the communist side. Kam Siu Yi is a much more serious-minded pro-communist cadre than either Barney or Dominic. He was initiated into communism from about 1953 by a mutual friend of his and mine. Kam's interest in communism was greatly encouraged in 1959 and 1960 by Lim Kien Chai, who was then staying in Singapore. He has just moved to live in Penang. Lim is the man who escaped arrest and disappeared when the government in 1951 detained John Eber, Lanias, Devan Nair, James Putucherry, and other members of the Communist Anti-British League English-speaking section. Lim Kien Chai lent Kam Siu Yi Marxist books and literature. Finally, Lim Chin Siong, Barney, Woodhull, and some others got Kam to resign his job as a teacher and got him to work in the Business Houses Employees Union, among the English educated. When you know these facts, you will understand how these things tie up. At the moment, the communists are putting on relatively mild pressure through persons and organizations which they hope cannot be directly attributed to them. Again, amongst the English school teachers who were asked to sign petitions against the 6-day week and attend protest meetings, few realized that Kam Siu Yi and Barney were amongst those hoping to exploit this feeling of an unhappiness prevalent amongst English school teachers. Kam was a former General Secretary of the Union, the Singapore Teachers Union, and still has a few active sympathizers in the union to help work things up. Through 2 normal trained teachers on the STU Central Council, K.S. Williams, once a lieutenant of Kam's, and S. Sivanandam, a lieutenant of Barney's, they were able to get their proposals through. Barney got in touch with some members of the TTC trainee subcommittee in August this year to offer his services. Kam and Barney are both former English school teachers. Among others interested in hotting things up is Kwa Bu San. Kwa Bu San, together with Dr. Po Su Kai, Assistant Secretary General of Barisan Socialists, and Dr. Rajakumar of General Hospital KL, whom I referred to in my 9th talk, they were all defendants in the Fajar sedition trial. Kwa Bu San is now teaching in Monks Hill School. The communists always do this. They exploit a real or imaginary grievance through cadres and sympathizers not generally known to be connected with them. We, as a government, will always view with sympathy any genuine unhappiness of the English school teachers over any issue, including the 6-day week. But we cannot be expected to view with sympathy the efforts of pro-communist cadres to heat up and exploit this unhappiness. Unfortunately, very few teachers realize that the intemperate and truculent language of the circular to the teachers, dated 31st of August, 61, calling for the abolition of the 6-day week, was not the language of their Union President, Mr. Seah Yun Chong, or of his Singapore Teachers Union Central Council. It was language inspired by the pro-communist cadres behind the scenes. Throughout the whole circular was the undertone of political struggle in Marxist terms, which the English school teachers were not accustomed to and did not like. Let me read you some of these phrases in this circular. To people who are supposed to teach our children good language and good manners. The heading reads, Campaign to seek support of the public and the working class movement. Another heading was underlined, A massive appearance of an army of teachers will ensure the annihilation of the 6-day week. And the first page ends by exhorting the teachers to massive attendance. Then the petition entered into political controversy with the government. It said, one cannot but arrive at the irresistible conclusion that political expediency led the government to impose the 6-day week. Well, it was not political expediency. The 6-day week was part of the PAP program published during the general elections in May 1959 in our booklet, The Task Ahead, and it was endorsed by the people. I think teachers do not want to engage in a political struggle with the government. However, this circular is in the language of political struggle of the English-educated communist, intended for political controversy with the government. Not unnaturally, this circular to the teachers, which was intended as a mass signature campaign, failed to arouse popular support. Instead, it upset them. And the Singapore Teachers Union Central Council sensed the unhappiness this circular had caused. They issued a statement in the Straits Times on the 22nd of September, denying certain rumors, I quote their words, being circulated to the effect that the Singapore Teachers Union is under the influence of a political party, and that it has as its advisor a certain well-known political personality. A mass signature campaign for parents and teachers and the general public has been stopped for the time being. The two persons responsible for bringing the petition for mass signature into the Central Council were Williams and Sivanandam. The President, Seah Yun Chong, supported by others, have asked them to take the petition away because of the blatant Marxist phrases and the overtone of political struggle which runs through all its pages. A meeting was called on the 24th of September of normal trained teachers. There was a resolution passed calling for a Teachers' Solidarity Day. Well, this was Kwa Bu San's idea, to have one day where the teachers in all schools in Singapore stop work and have a mass meeting to demonstrate their solidarity. He got his proposal formally adopted by the normal trained teachers branch of the Singapore Teachers Union through a representative. And now these backroom cadres are planning a demonstration of defiance on a school day when all teachers will stop work to attend a mass rally. Presumably, the children will be left alone in the classrooms. This resolution has now been entrusted to a subcommittee of two in the Singapore Teachers Union Central Council to look into this question of holding a mass meeting. Do you know who these two are? None other than Messrs. Williams and Sivanandam, the two lieutenants. The PAP government is all in favor of Teachers' Day, provided it's not in aid of the communists. In fact, we already have a Teachers' Day, and on the 5th of August this year, the government declared a holiday for teachers to hold their joint meeting, at which I was privileged to address them. So you see, things are not as simple as they appear to be in the newspapers. One difficulty the communists are facing at the moment is the complete absence of tension or uncertainty or anti-government feeling. For them to succeed, a state of uncertainty and unrest and a belief that revolution is just round the corner is most necessary. To create anti-government feelings, their cadres, with the English-speaking section, deliberately in the course of the Robinson strike, encouraged the workers to block the entrance to the store. They knew that this was against the law. The result was the police had to be called out to clear the entrance. On investigation, it was found that over 60 out of about 200 of those who picketed outside Robinson's were not Robinson's employees, but people brought in from elsewhere by these pro-communist cadres to swell their numbers. They encouraged over 100 of these workers to insist on being arrested and going into the police vans. Then they immediately issued statements that these cruel attacks by tough riot squad policemen on weak, harmless workers were on the orders of the PAP government. But we forestalled that line of attack by being obviously reasonable, while also exposing their intention. There is no tension, no uncertainty, and no hatred of the government among the people now. Only among their own communist supporters is there this feeling of tension at the grave perils they face, uncertainty over their own future, and hatred of the government because the government did not fall in with communist plans and wishes. In the end, when the communists failed to create tension, uncertainty and hatred against the government through stirring up trouble amongst the English-educated workers, the school teachers, and over the Chinese middle school's 3-3 or 4-2 problem, they will have to show their hands openly and mount the offensive through their own communist-controlled unions. As they go down, we may see them have one last fling to demonstrate communist anger and the strength of their cadres in rallying the workers in the communist-controlled unions to demonstrate on their behalf. Some of them are already threatening such action. But such a course of action must lead them to disaster in a collision with the final authority of the state. My next talk will be about citizenship rights after merger. I shall also tell you how, as we the nationalists are getting together with merger and Malaysia, the communists are also getting together their front organizations in the different territories.